It's now been 4 months in a row that home prices in the Canadian real estate market have increased, but we are starting to see a shift. What does that mean for you, someone that's looking at buying a house in Canada or just want to know what's going on in the Canadian real estate market? Let's get into it. Hey there, and welcome back to the monthly Canadian real estate market update here on Bald Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeifer. I'm a real estate agent in Regina, Saskatchewan, and that is my trusted assistant, 𝗤𝗲𝗄𝗧. As I said in the introduction, 4 months in a row, home prices in Canada have increased. But when I'm looking through the data and talking with local real estate agents in each one of these markets, there appears to be a little bit of shift starting. Now we are heading into the summer months, which are typically slower. So that's part of what's going on. We've also seen the Bank of Canada raise interest rates and now appear committed to continue raising interest rates. That doesn't have an impact on this past month's data, but it is going to have an impact going forward. We saw what happened last year, when the Bank of Canada raised interest rates, and we saw both home prices and the number of homes sold start to decline quite rapidly. Now, if you are thinking about buying a house in Canada, you want a great real estate agent recommendation, in the description of this video, there's gonna be a link to my calendar where you can book me in for consultation. I give you a call, learn about what's important to you, not only in what you're looking to buy, but what's important to your real estate agent, get you paired up with the perfect real estate agent for you. But as always, let's start this off with another terrible joke. I'm not the bragging type, but last year I made 6 figures. That is also probably why I was named the worst employee at the toy factory and fired. If you have a terrible joke that I can use in a future episode, put in the comments below. Let's get into this month's Canadian real estate market update. In Victoria, that's 775 homes sold in the month. That is up about 20% from the 5-year average of 645. But if you remove the May 2020 pandemic numbers out of the 5-year average and just go back a previous year, then sales are down approximately 10% from that 5-year average. But they are also up about 2% from last year. They were just shy of 1,400 homes newly listed for sale in Victoria in the month. That is down about 3% from the 5-year average of 1,400. But if you were to remove the May 2020 numbers again, the number of homes that are newly listed for sale, the average would be about 1,500. So that gap would get even larger. When it comes to active listings, that's homes for sale right now in Victoria, there's about 2,200. That is down 7% from that 5-year average. About 2,400 is the 5-year average. The 2020 numbers didn't actually skew this that much. And months of inventory in Victoria is 2.8. That means Victoria has slidden back into a seller's market. The composite benchmark price in Victoria, so all property types combined into one number, is approximately $865,000. That is down 12% year over year, down 14% from the peak we saw in June of 2022, where it was about $995,000, but it is now 2 months in a row that home prices have increased in Victoria. The combination of more inventory available to be purchased and more buyers out looking is one of the reasons we saw the jump in sales, not only from last month, but also from last year. But a little caveat on comparing to last year, this of course is the time when we started to see sales dropping dramatically as the Bank of Canada raised interest rates. And don't be surprised if we see a similar action if the Bank of Canada continues to ramp up interest rates, and there's some indication at this point that they may do so. Now, unlike earlier last year, when basically every single house in Victoria was selling, didn't matter what the condition was and what the price was, now we're seeing those houses that don't show well and aren't priced well are sitting on the market. But the houses that are showing well and are priced well are not only seeing a lot of interest from buyers, they are still seeing multiple offers. The 3,400 homes sold in Vancouver last month is up 10% versus a 5-year average, which is closer to about 3,100. But if you remove the May 2020 pandemic numbers from the 5-year average and just replace it with the previous year, then now sales would be down about 6% versus the 5-year average. But that would also be the smallest gap we've seen all year versus the 5-year average. The over 5,600 homes that were newly listed last month in Vancouver is down 4% versus the 5-year average. Usually closer to 5,900 homes will be newly listed for sale. But again, if you remove those May 2020 numbers from the 5-year average, that gap increases to an 11% drop in the number of new listings. And there's almost 9,300 homes currently for sale in Vancouver. That is down 22% from the 5-year average, which is about 11,800. Again, if you remove the 2020 numbers out of there, this gap is going to get even larger. Months of inventory in Vancouver is 2.7, meaning Vancouver is a seller's market. The composite benchmark price in Vancouver is almost $1.2 million. That is down 6% year over year. It is also down from the $1.26 million peak we saw in April of last year, but home prices in Vancouver have increased
7% from January. I talked in last month's update how it's typical in Vancouver that home prices stay relatively flat in April, May, and June. So to see a 1.5% increase month over month from April to May this year is very significant. But it also marks the first time in 4 months that that month over month price increase didn't get bigger. Now, a 2.4% month-over-month increase, which is what we saw the previous month, is unsustainable, and I didn't expect it to continue. This was also the first month that we saw home sales this year were more than last year. This is also the time we saw last year the Bank of Canada started increasing interest rates and home sales dropped dramatically. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there saying it takes a year and a half or 2 years before we see the full impact of interest rates on the real estate market. Well, what we've seen over the last year contradicts that completely. We'll have to wait and see now. The Bank of Canada has raised interest rates again and indicates that they may continue to do so, what that does to the real estate market going forward in Vancouver. And when it comes to home prices in Vancouver, East Vancouver, which is typically where we see the more affordable home prices, has seen a 9% increase this year, while West Vancouver, which is typically less affordable, has seen an 8% increase since the start of the year. The 3,100 homes that were sold last month in Calgary is up 45% from the 5-year average, where typically about 2,150 homes are sold in the month. Now, if you take out the May 2020 lockdown month, sales are still up a staggering 30%. The 3,650 homes newly listed for sale in Calgary is down 4% from the 5-year average. Typically about 3,800 homes are listed for sale in the month. Again, take out the May 2020 pandemic lockdown month, and now you're talking a 12% gap versus that 5-year average. The 3,200 homes currently for sale in Calgary is not only down a staggering 54% from that 5-year average, but it's also down from last month. This is the time of year that the number of homes for sale should be increasing, not decreasing. And even if you take out the 2020 pandemic numbers, you're still seeing a significant gap in the number of homes for sale versus that 5-year average. So months of inventory in Calgary is 1, making this the tightest inventory situation in Canada right now. And when it comes to home prices, the composite benchmark price in Calgary is approaching $560,000. That's up 2% year over year, and once again sets another record high in Calgary. A lack of inventory continues to be a challenge for home buyers in Calgary. There's basically no inventory in every single product category. The only area that has more than 1 month's worth of inventory is apartment style condos, where they have 1.3 months of inventory, and that month of inventory number has dropped each and every single month this year in Calgary. When it comes to what is hot and what is not, well, it's basically everything from $200,000 all the way to $1 million. They're seeing multiple offers on pretty much every good listing there in Calgary. And this is one of the hottest, if not the hottest, real estate markets in Canada. It doesn't appear that this is slowing down anytime soon either. The 2,700 homes sold last month in Edmonton is up 28% versus the 5-year average. Typically about 2,100 homes would be sold in a month. Even if you take out the May 2020 lockdown months, which really skews the data, sales are still up 21%. And the 3,900 homes newly listed for sale is down 2% versus that 5-year average. Usually about 4,000 homes are new listed for sale in the month. Again, take out the 2020 numbers, and now the number of new listings is down 4% versus the 5-year average. The 7,100 homes currently for sale in Edmonton is down 18% versus the 5-year average. Usually about 8,600 homes would be for sale right now. So that means months of inventory in Edmonton is 2.6. Edmonton is now a seller's market. The composite benchmark price in Edmonton is about $380,000. That is down 7% year over year. It's down 7% from the peak we saw last year in June of $409,000. Price in Edmonton basically hovered April, May, and June last year. As you saw, home sales in Edmonton smashed that 5-year average as competition really is starting to heat up between buyers. And this is most evident in that $400,000 price category, especially in single family homes. Now, when you look at the data, they're gonna say that the average days on market is 40 days. This number is a little bit deceiving because that also includes when a home is conditionally sold. And often conditions will take a week to 2 weeks to be removed. And then of course, this is all deceiving as all averages are, because the good houses are selling much quicker than that. It's not surprising to see them sell the first couple of nights or the first weekend on the market, whereas the properties that are not priced well, not showing well, are sitting on the market much longer, kind of skewing that 40-day average. The 418 homes sold last month in Regina is not only up 26% from the 5-year average, it's the second busiest month all time. That's second busiest single month only to last May. Now, even if you take out the May 2020 lockdown numbers where sales are way down, sales are still up 20% from the 5-year average. The 576 homes that were newly listed for sale is down 9% from the 5-year average, which is 633. And again, if you take out the May 2020 numbers, that gap increases to a 14% drop in new listings. And right now there's just over 900 homes for sale in Regina, so that is down 33% from the 5-year average, which is about 1,360. It's also down 15% from last year, meaning months of inventory in Regina is at 2.2, putting it squarely in the middle of a seller's market. When it comes to home prices in Regina, the composite benchmark price is about $316,000. That's down not only 4% year over year, it's down 4% from the $330,000 peak we saw in June of last year. As I said earlier, not only do we have less than 1,000 homes for sale right now in Regina when we should have far more than 1,000, we actually haven't had more than 1,000 homes for sale at any point this year. And that is most evident in the single family home market, where we're seeing the most ferocious competition amongst buyers, and multiple offers are still very common. Now, you've probably heard a lot of this before, but what happens when you get in a multiple offer situation? Now, this is just what I'm seeing in the Regina real estate market. When you see one offer, you're probably going to see a little bit of discount. 2 offers, typically houses are going for about asking price. Once you start getting to 3 or more offers, that's when it's usually selling over asking price. And from my experience, every offer 3 or more is worth about $5,000 to $8,000 on top of the asking price. So if you see 5 offers, don't be surprised to see it sell for $15,000 or $20,000 over asking price. The almost 540 homes that were sold last month in Saskatoon is up 21% versus the 5-year average of 446. And again, even if you take out the 2020 pandemic numbers in May, which really skewed the data, the sales are still up 19% above the 5-year average. And the 760 homes that were newly listed for sale in the month is down 15% from that 5-year average of just under 900 homes that we put up for sale in the month. And if you take out the 2020 numbers, that gap actually widens to an 18% decline. There's just over 1,000 homes for sale in Saskatoon right now, which is down 48% versus the 5-year average. Usually there should be closer to 1,700 homes for sale this time of year, and that leaves months of inventory at 1.9. Saskatoon is very quietly becoming one of the hottest real estate markets in Canada. The composite benchmark price in Saskatoon is up 3% year over year at $380,000, and it's almost exactly equal to the peak we saw in June of last year of $383,000. I am fully expecting that next month we're reporting that Saskatoon has hit a new all-time high. When it comes to the Saskatoon real estate markets that have the most competition amongst buyers, here they are. You've got Brighton, Evergreen, Hampton Village, Lakeview, Stonebridge, Wildwood, and Rosewood. What's common amongst those is there's a lot of single family homes in those neighborhoods priced between $200,000 and $400,000, which is often the most popular price point for buyers looking for single family homes in Saskatoon. So it's not surprising that's where we're seeing the most competition. In Winnipeg, the 1,500 homes sold in the month is down 1% from the 5-year average of just over 1,500. And the 2,700 homes newly listed for sale is up 8% from the 5-year average of 2,500. And the almost 4,100 homes that are currently for sale in Winnipeg is up 14% from the 5-year average. Usually about 3,600 homes are for sale this time of year, but months of inventory in Winnipeg is 3.7, right at the very bottom end of a balanced market. When it comes to home prices in Winnipeg, the composite benchmark price is $351,000. That is down 5% year over year. It's also down 5% from the peak of $370,000 we saw exactly 1 year ago. The hottest price range in Winnipeg is $350,000 to $500,000, and that price point still seeing significant numbers of multiple offers. There just simply isn't enough supply to meet up with demand. We're seeing approximately 1/3 of all homes sold in Winnipeg right now selling with multiple offers. Now, all these offers typically have full conditions, finance inspections, etc. It's a stark contrast to last year when about 2/3 of homes were selling with multiple offers, but many of those didn't have any conditions at all. And you can see how much the Winnipeg real estate market has picked up when you look at the sales numbers versus the 5-year average. Earlier this year, they were down 30%, whereas today they're almost equal to the 5-year average. The 9,000 homes sold in Toronto last month is up 7% versus the 5-year average. Usually about 8,450 homes are sold in the month. Now, if you take out the May 2020 number, because that really skews the data with the pandemic lockdowns, then sales would actually be down about 10% versus that 5-year average. But if you apply that same thing to the previous month where sales would have been down 27%, This still saw a significant jump in sales last month in Toronto. The 15,200 homes newly listed for sale in Toronto is down 11% versus the average. Typically about 17,000 homes are newly listed for sale in the month. Now again, if you take out the May 2020 numbers that really skew the data, new listings are down 23% versus the 5-year average. But this is 2 months in a row where the number of new listings versus the 5-year average, even when you remove that 2020 data, is actually getting a little bit smaller. While the 11,800 homes currently for sale in Toronto is down 26% from that 5-year average of 16,000. Again, let's remove the 2020 numbers and that gap grows to 29%. Either way you put it, the number of homes for sale in Toronto is down significantly. So months of inventory is 1.6. That is actually a slight improvement for buyers from last month's 1.5 months of inventory. When it comes to home prices in Toronto, the composite benchmark price is $1.164 million. That is down 8% year over year. It's down 14% from the peak of 1.33 million we saw in March of last year, but it's now 4 months in a row that home prices have increased in Toronto. Agents all over Toronto are telling me that they're seeing a large increase in the number of listings that are tenant occupied, indicating that there are investors that are not seeing enough return on their investment or positive cash flow for these investments to continue to make sense. And with all the headlines we've seen coming out of Toronto, how many investors are seeing negative cash flow on those investment properties, that doesn't surprise me. When it comes to home prices in Toronto, month over month prices increased 1.65%. Now that is still a significant price increase, but it's also the second month in a row that the price increase has gotten a little bit smaller. And I talked about it last month that seeing 2+% month over month price increases wasn't going to continue. It wasn't sustainable. So I decided, let's go look back at the data because it's not uncommon in Toronto to see home prices flatten and sometimes even decrease in the summer months. So let's look at just the last 10 years here. 2013, 2014, prices were flat. 2015 and 2016, prices went up. 2017 and 2018, prices dropped. We also saw the stress test and foreign buyer tax introduced then, which was part of why prices went down. They were flat in 2019. Ignore 2020, nothing makes sense in 2020. Prices stagnated even in 2021. We know how busy 2021 was. And of course, last year we saw home prices decrease in the summer months and then continue to decrease the rest of the year. So don't be surprised if we see home prices flatten and maybe even decrease this summer. What's going to be really telling is what happens in the fall, because it's very common that prices pick back up in the fall. The 1,940 homes sold last month in Ottawa is down 5% versus their 5-year average of 2,040. Now, if you take out the May 2020 numbers where the pandemic really skews the data, sales are down 12% versus the 5-year average, but this is also 2 months in a row that that gap has shrunk. The 2,800 homes newly listed for sale is up 2% versus the 5-year average of about 2,770 homes newly listed for sale in the month. But if you take out 2020 again, that gap actually becomes a 13% drop in new listings versus the 5-year average. When it comes to homes currently for sale in Ottawa, there's just under 2,900 homes for sale right now. That is down 3% versus the 5-year average, which is just under 3,000. Now, if you take out the 2020 numbers again, inventory is down 11% versus the 5-year average. And remember, to start the year, inventory was up 15%. Months of inventory in Ottawa is 1.9, making Ottawa a seller's market. The composite benchmark price in Ottawa was about $645,000. That is down 10% year over year. It's also down 12% from the peak of $730,000 we saw in March of last year. But 4 months in a row, home prices have increased in Ottawa. It shouldn't come as a surprise that we're seeing things heat up in the Ottawa real estate market. Each month, sales have increased versus the 5-year average, while inventory has decreased versus the 5-year average. I mentioned that we're seeing multiple offers and lots of different properties last month, and that continues this month. Again, it continues to be that $500,000 to $700,000 single family home price point and category where we're seeing the most buyer activity. There were 4,400 homes sold last month in Montreal. That is down 9% from the 5-year average of about 4,900 homes that typically sell in the month. But if we take out the May 2020 numbers, because that pandemic month really skews the data, sales will be down 13%. But that's a significant improvement from last month where sales were down nearly 30% when you remove the 2020 data. There was just under 6,200 homes newly listed for sale in Montreal in the month. That's exactly equal to their 5-year average. Again, let's take out the May 2020 numbers and actually listings are down about 3%. While there's just shy of 16,000 homes for sale right now in Montreal, that's up 1% from the 5-year average when you include 2020, but if you remove the 2020 numbers, active inventory is down 15% from the 5-year average. And months of inventory is 4.3 in Montreal, right in the middle of a balanced market. When it comes to home prices in Montreal, the composite benchmark price is almost $530,000, down 5% from a year ago. It's down 5% from the peak, which was a year ago at $555,000. Right now, Montreal, about 50% of all homes that are being put up for sale are seeing multiple offers. Compare that to last month when it was 10%. But that doesn't tell the full story. Homes that are not priced well or don't show well are sitting in the market for a significantly longer period of time and are not receiving multiple offers. It's the houses that show well and are priced well are seeing multiple offers. For the longest time as well, it was that sub $500,000 price point that was seeing the most buyer activity, the most multiple offers. Agents are telling me now they're seeing that spreading to much higher price points, and it's single family homes that seem to see the most activity from buyers right now. In Halifax, the 581 homes sold in a month is down 18% from last year, and the 745 homes newly listed for sale is down 15% from the previous year, while the 665 homes currently for sale in Halifax is up 19% from last year. It wasn't long ago, just a couple of months, the number of homes for sale was up like 100 and 200% from the year before. Months of inventory in Halifax is 1.1, making it the second tightest inventory situation in Canada, second only to Calgary. When it comes to home prices, the average price, because they don't have composite benchmark prices in Halifax, is $570,000. That's exactly equal to last year and the peaks that we saw last year. When I asked agents in Halifax, what's the market like? They said it's going banana. That's pretty similar to what we were seeing this time last year. The big difference though is the houses that don't show well or aren't priced well are sitting around, while the good houses are flying off the shelf right now. We're still seeing about 50% of homes that sell in a month are selling over asking right now. And agents were also telling me that the new construction market has started to pick back up. It was basically dead for the first quarter this year, and now they're starting to see more sales happening and activity overall start to pick back up. That wraps things up for this month, but why don't you check out right here, my first time homebuyer playlist, which gives you all the information you need to know about buying a house in Canada. If you like this video, please give this video a like, subscribe to Bald Prairie Real Estate if you haven't already, leave comments below of chatting with you guys in the comment section, and as always, thanks very much for watching.